10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus 5 seconds.
Lift off normal.
Here we have a majestic liftoff of LVM-3 M4 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft.
P2 tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का। यह भीमकाय रॉकेट आसमान को चीरते हुए अपनी भयानक दहाड़ से चारों ओर कंपन उत्पन्न कर रहा है। इसे हम यहाँ महसूस कर सकते हैं और यही दहाड़ है जो वैज्ञानिकों को रोमांचित करती है। LVM-3 के उत्थापन के साथ ही हमारे अंतरिक्ष यान चंद्रयान-3 की चंद्रमा की यात्रा प्रारंभ हो चुकी है।
As the rocket is soaring through the clear skies, every second moving closer to the accomplishment of the most important milestone in its mission to moon. Every Indian witnessing the launch live is content with the feeling of watching history in the making.
चंद्रमा की सतह पर अपना छाप छोड़ने के लिए चंद्रयान-3 अपने मिशन को पूरा करने निकल चुका है। वर्तमान में दोनों S-200 स्टेप ऑन बूस्टर सामान निष्पादन करते हुए अपनी निर्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं।
The S-200 motors thrusting simultaneously, generating a peak thrust of close to 6,000 kilonewtons in vacuum. They are made of HTPB-based solid propellant. 204.5 tons in each strap-on. Close to 2 tons of propellant being burnt each second.
S-200 स्ट्रैप-ऑन बूस्टर्स का कुल प्रज्वलन काल 126 सेकंड का है और अभी अभी घोषणा की गई L110 स्टेज का भी प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है।
Apart from the strap-ons, the core stage has also commenced its operation. This stage, based on combination
200 stages are separated
of hypergolic Earth storable liquid propellants UH-25 and N2O4. Now the S-200s have been separated.
घटनाक्रम के अनुसार इस यान से S-200 स्ट्रैप-ऑन बूस्टर्स को सफलतापूर्वक पृथक कर दिया गया है। यह काम सेपरेशन मोटर्स की मदद से किया जाता है। इसके बाद L110 तरल नोदक पर आधारित और विकास इंजन के साथ यह चरण सामान्य निष्पादन करता हुआ अपनी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहा है। अभियान क्लोज लूप गाइडेंस के अंतर्गत है।
L110 stage performance normal.
The trajectory of launch vehicle is closely following the prediction.
Payload fairing separated.
जी हाँ, पेलोड फेयरिंग को पृथक कर दिया गया है यान से, क्योंकि यान अब 114.8 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्राप्त कर चुका है। इस चरण का कुल प्रज्वलन काल 200 सेकेंड होता है और इस दौरान यह करीब 1600 किलो न्यूटन का प्रणोद उत्पन्न करता है।
We are 220 seconds past the launch time. Current altitude is 135 kilometers. In the 200 seconds of its operation, the L110 stage carries the rocket up to 175.5 kilometers altitude and imparts a relative velocity of 4.18 kilometers per second, that is 250 kilometers every minute.
L110 stage performance normal.
LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का द्वितीय चरण पूर्णतः सामान्य
All right,
निष्पादन
Dr.
करते
Ghosh,
हुए।
now the rocket is of course blasted off from the Sriharikota spaceport, and I want you to break it down for our viewers. What exactly happens here on, and what is the process that ISRO wants to follow?
So you saw the solid booster, the thick solid booster in the middle, and two side boosters. So you have to attain escape velocity. And so escape velocity for perspective is, if you take a rock, you throw it up, it falls back to Earth. So you have to throw this hard enough so it doesn't come back to Earth. So to do that, you have to have a huge amount of thrust created for the first few minutes. And that is equal to, so a car has maybe 200 horsepower. So this is, you're probably talking million horsepower or around that number. So now after that thrust is successfully given, then the solid boosters fall back, and that's what's happening. And then finally, if you recall, you described that the 3 stages: the propellant stage, the lander, and the rover. So these 3 will actually start the trajectory to go to the moon.
All right. Now, Chandrayaan-1, that obviously took off in 2008, Chandrayaan-2, that took off in 2019. What are some of the learnings that ISRO has done that we could see play out in this mission?
Play out in this mission. Okay. So, what happened in 2008? That was an orbiter. That was Chandrayaan-1. So there was a NASA instrument called Moon Mineralogy Mapper. They found, so the ISRO and this team from Brown University, they found water in the minerals on the moon. So this was a first. Before this, moon was largely thought to be a desiccated place or devoid of water. So it was a very big discovery, in the sense that if you want to ever have human presence on another body, it's very important to have water in some form, because water is important for human needs, for human needs for extracting oxygen and also for producing rocket fuel. So this mission, you can say, so firstly, I don't think you can kind of map out as to how Chandrayaan-1 is related to 3, but if you have to, Chandrayaan-3 is going to the South Pole and trying to explore more about the South Pole, the promising region where ice was formed. And this is important not just to ISRO, but for NASA, China, anyone who wants to go and settle on the moon or produce oxygen on the moon or water on the moon. So about Chandrayaan-2, I don't see any. As I said, it is not possible. Each mission has its own brief. It doesn't necessarily need to, the science goals necessarily don't need to overlap. So I don't feel there's a very big overlap.
All right, Dr. Ghosh, stay with us. We are being told we are being joined by our senior correspondent, Siddharth MP, right from Sriharikota. Siddharth, how is the mood down there? What are you seeing?
So it was a fantastic moment to witness the liftoff of India's heaviest rocket. This is a 642-tonner vehicle that just lifted off a couple of minutes behind us. So it was a mesmerizing feeling because, being such a large rocket and you can hear pretty much the roar of the engine for a 7 to 8 kilometer radius. So the point we're standing at is the maximum permissible limit, and we're standing almost 6 kilometers away from the launch pad. And at this place, we could hear the roar of the engines. And this is no simple feat because we are having at least 400 tons of fuel being burnt. That is 2/3 of the rocket's mass is being burnt to get that vehicle off the ground. This is the science. This is the technicality. This is the stats of the vehicle's mass was being burnt to get the vehicle off the ground. And the mass that is being burnt, that is 400 tons of fuel that's being burnt, will ensure that the vehicle, crosses the denser parts of the atmosphere and then, reaches the upper atmosphere. And they're on the second set of engines to take over. So we could see the launch for a good 1 minute from where we were. It's a mesmerizing sight, and this is what people have, come for from far and wide and from across different parts of the country, because it's an amazing feeling to see that vehicle lift off, because this is the only part of, space technology that people are able to see in front of their own eyes, because much of this happens, several lakh kilometers away from you. The lunar landing is something you only see through Chandrayaan cameras. But when it comes to this kind of a launch vehicle performing its activity, this is the only aspect of space technology that is accessible to people to see right in front of their eyes.
Absolutely, Siddharth. These are very exciting times, and if this mission is successful, it would see India enter an elite club of nations achieving such a feat in the space world, of course. And there's so much to explore: the lunar space, as Dr. Ghosh has also been pointing out. Before I go back to Dr. Ghosh, Siddharth, if you could just tell us, what are you hearing from the scientists, if at all you are? Of course, the process is taking its course and we are yet to see how it pans out. But if at all you're hearing anything from the scientists at the moment.
So right now, the mission is in progress. So, it's a 16.5-minute mission. So we'll have to wait to hear from the scientists. Optimism, because this is a tried and tested vehicle, and so far in all the flights of LVM-3, this particular rocket, it has delivered success. So there is no anxiety about the success and the capability of this vehicle, because in 6 flights this vehicle has proven this mettle. There is no question about the capability of the rocket. In fact, in the last couple of months, in the last 8 months, this rocket was launched twice, and both were commercial missions for the UK-based company known as OneWeb. So ISRO earned about 1,000 crores in the process by launching this. And you don't have, foreign customers paying you 1,000 crores or close to a couple of $100 million when they don't have a reliability on your rocket. So there is no question about the launch vehicle and its capability. That's how robust the LVM-3 is. It's got a great track record. The thing that will, pan out in the coming days is the fact that this spacecraft has to be steered gradually on its way to the moon, and then it will have to make a lunar landing. So, in fact, last time we got as close as 2 kilometers to Andhra Pradesh. That's how far Chandrayaan-2 went. But
Exactly.
now the crucial moment would be 6 weeks from now, when on perhaps August 23rd, a lunar landing, soft landing is attempted. And that would be the key moment, because now the launch is something that ISRO has, gotten so professional at. They're able to do almost one launch every month. We're being told that even 10 days from now, there will be another PSLV launch. So launching is, in fact, become like clockwork and routine for ISRO. The key aspect here is how the spacecraft is steered in space, how it is taken safely, how it is taken to the moon, and thereafter how it has to slow down and then attempt soft landing. That is the key process here. Launch is something that ISRO has mastered over the years, and ISRO has an enviable track record about launches particularly.
All right, Siddharth, it's interesting you mentioned that. Mr. Ghosh, let's pick it from there. If you could tell us a little more about the LVM-3 rocket that is carrying the Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft.
So, unfortunately, I don't know much about this specific rocket, but it is part of the GSLV. So, the PSLV was the old workhorse, which has lasted from 92 to even today. And this is the GSLV is the next generation, which is much larger and which is supposed to be India's vehicle for going into these other larger missions. So far everything has worked perfectly, and let's see what happens with I guess the landing.
All right, Dr. Ghosh, let's go back to a point you made earlier about China, US, and even Russia being in this race. Now, as I mentioned before, also a successful mission of Chandrayaan-3 would actually see India enter an elite club. If you could explain what this elite club exactly means, and this race to space that we have been seeing is being talked about much more than before. What does it mean for the entire world?
Okay, so there's some nuances here. Okay, so if you look at there are maybe 200 countries in the world, right? So very few countries have space capability. So to graduate to that level that you can visit and land on another planet or satellite is a very rare capability. So India will, of course, belong to that club once they are successful. The other race to the moon is somewhat different. So now the US is trying to go back to the moon through the Artemis program, but this is not a robotic mission. They're thinking of human landing. And I think China is also thinking of human landing. So the goal is to go back to the moon with humans. But if you want to do that, that's a much more complicated mission. The robotic missions are much more easy. The moment you come to humans, you have to take care of humans in the cabin, and so there has to be an optimal temperature. You have to have facilities for humans. So you should have redundant systems. If something fails, what will happen? If there's an emergency. So the level of complexity goes up. So India is right now just starting out Gaganyaan, and then it will take a little while to take humans to the moon. So having said that, there will be robotic exploration of the moon as well with this new Artemis program. And NASA has a rover called Viper, which will go, and then there will be some private companies that NASA has contracted to, and it's a very interesting model. They are just going to buy data from them. The private companies will send the rover, they will conduct the mission. So there is also going to be some robotic exploration, and so I don't know. This is something where India will fit into the picture. That will depend on the higher ups at ISRO.
All right, Mr. Ghosh. Siddharth, if I can come back to you, you have been breaking down these very complex processes and situations that, of course, we are seeing playing out at the moment, and also the mission altogether. So, in case everything goes as planned by ISRO and we have a successful mission, could you break it down for us? What exactly happens once we reach the lunar surface? Siddharth, are you with us?
Yes. So basically, this launch is now declared by ISRO as successful. The satellite has been separated. That is, Chandrayaan-3 integrated module has been separated successfully from the launch vehicle. That is the latest update we have from ISRO. So satellite separation essentially means that this launch process that happened today is complete. It's about 16.5 minutes that it took for the vehicle to go from zero, that is on the ground, to almost 100 kilometers above the Earth's surface. So the satellite has been placed into the orbit that is intended. Of course, what now follows is 6 weeks of steering the satellite carefully through space and then taking it to the moon and thereafter attempting a soft landing. So today's launch mission, we can say, is a complete success. We'll wait to hear the specifics from ISRO, but we can tell you now certainly.
चंद्रयान को सफलतापूर्वक अंतक्षेपित कर दिया गया है, लेकिन चंद्रयान-3 की यात्रा अभी जारी है। अब इस मिशन के बारे में हम अध्यक्ष महोदय से सुनेंगे और हम आपसे आज्ञा लेते हैं।
We sign off. Up next is address by Secretary DOS, Chairman ISRO.